All right, let's talk about something we've all experienced, the bad meeting. You know the one. You're sitting there, watching the clock, wondering, why am I even here? We've all been through it. But what if meetings didn't have to be this thing we all dread? What if they could actually be good? To really get a sense of how big this problem is, get this. Some executives spend up to 75% of their time in meetings. 75%. That means the most senior, highest paid people in an organization are spending the vast majority of their working hours sitting in a conference room. And if those meetings are bad, well, you're not just wasting time, you are burning through an incredible amount of money.
I mean, this just hits home, doesn't it? That little internal groan you feel when you get that calendar invite, that feeling is so common because, let's be honest, most of us have been conditioned by years of disorganized, pointless, and just plain boring meetings. But today, we're going to start to fix that.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into exactly why we hate meetings. Then, we'll build a better way with the 3 pillars of a successful meeting. We'll look at the absolutely critical role of a leader, figure out how to handle the chaos when things go sideways, and finally, wrap it all up to totally transform how you think about meetings.
Okay, let's jump right in. Before we can build a great meeting, we have to be able to spot a bad one. What are those telltale signs, those red flags that tell you a meeting is about to go off the rails?
So here are the usual suspects. You've got the rude boss who just poisons the well from the start. You have conflicting information flying around so no one even knows what you're talking about anymore. There's a classic case of the wrong people being in the room, or worse, the right people not being invited. And then there's my personal favorite, the one-way meeting where it's not a discussion, it's just a lecture. The thing is, it's rarely just one of these. It's usually a messy combination that makes a meeting fail.
All right, enough about what's broken. Let's talk about how to fix it. A great meeting isn't some kind of magic trick. It's actually built on a really solid foundation of 3 key things. If you can get these right, you are well on your way.
Pillar number 1 is content. Now this is so important. Content doesn't just mean your slide deck or your agenda. It's everything else that people bring into the room with them. Their ideas, their attitudes, their expectations, even their baggage from the last meeting. Your job isn't just to present stuff, it's to manage this whole invisible world of content. Next up, pillar number 2, participation. This is the human element. How are people actually behaving? Are they leaning in, listening, and contributing? Or are they leaning back, checking their phones, and being defensive? How people feel directly affects how they participate, and a good leader knows how to create a space where people want to engage. And finally, we've got organization. Think of this as the skeleton that holds the whole thing up. This is your agenda, your start and end times, your ground rules, and most importantly, a crystal clear reason for why you're even having the meeting. Without good organization, the best content and the most willing participants are just going to drift aimlessly.
So you can have all 3 of those pillars perfectly in place, but there's one more piece to this puzzle. And honestly, it is the single most important factor: the leader. If the person running the show isn't up to the task, even the best planned meeting is doomed.
So what makes a great meeting leader? Well, they're objective. They make sure every voice is heard, not just the loudest ones. They're considerate of everyone's time and ideas. They're self-confident enough to steer the ship, but without a huge ego that sucks all the air out of the room. And they have to be an absolute master of multitasking, watching the clock, reading the room, guiding the conversation, all at the same time. Now, this is a super important distinction that a lot of people miss. A meeting leader is not the same as a meeting facilitator. The leader, who's usually the boss, has a horse in the race. They care about the outcome and can argue for their point of view. A facilitator, on the other hand, is neutral. Their only job is to make sure the process runs smoothly. Think of it this way. The facilitator owns the organization and participation, which frees up the leader to focus entirely on the content. Now, you might think a great leader has to be this big, loud, charismatic person, right? Well, not so fast. This quote from C. Hope Clark is fantastic because it flips that idea on its head. She found a way to turn something many people see as a weakness, shyness, into a genuine leadership advantage. So how did she do it? This is how. Turns out, shyness comes with some serious superpowers. A shy person is often an incredible listener, which is a forgotten art in a world where everyone's just waiting for their turn to talk. They think before they speak, which means when they do talk, their words have more impact. And because they might be nervous, they often over-prepare, which is never a bad thing. It's just a great reminder that powerful leadership comes in all shapes and sizes.
Okay, so let's be real for a second. You put a bunch of passionate people in a room, you are going to get some conflict. It's just inevitable. The goal isn't to avoid conflict. That's impossible. The goal is to manage it so that it's productive, not destructive. Conflict rarely just appears out of thin air. It almost always boils down to one of these things. Sometimes it's a simple miscommunication. Other times it's deeper, like two people who saw the exact same event but interpreted it in completely different ways. Or, the trickiest of all, when the conflict is really about clashing personal values. Spotting the root cause is the first step to fixing it.
So what do you do when the meeting just grinds to a halt? You know the feeling. The energy is dead, you're going around in circles on the same point, and everyone just feels stuck. When that happens, sometimes a simple little pattern interrupt is all you need.
These might sound a little weird, but trust me, they work. First, just ask everyone to stop and take 10 slow, deep breaths. It literally calms the nervous system and hits the reset button. Or try changing the lighting, brighten it up, dim it down. It shifts the mood. And my absolute favorite, have everyone get up and switch seats. It sounds so simple, but changing your physical perspective can genuinely help you find a new mental one. Okay, we have walked through the problems, the pillars, the leader, and the challenges. Now it's time to bring it all home and really lock in this new way of thinking about meetings.
So if you remember nothing else, remember this. A great meeting does not happen by accident. It is designed. It is built on those three strong pillars: content, participation, and organization. And the whole thing is steered and guided by a skilled, prepared, and effective leader.
And that, right there, is the ultimate mindset shift. We have to stop thinking of meetings as a chore, as this tax we have to pay on our time. We need to start seeing them for what they can be when they're done right, a powerful, focused tool for solving problems, making decisions, and moving forward together.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you schedule a meeting, or the next time you accept an invitation to one, ask yourself, is this going to be an expense? Just draining time and energy for no real return? Or is it going to be an investment, something that generates real value, clarity, and progress? Because now you know how to make that choice.